This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com, and today I have none other than a legendary manager in the Memphis territory, as well as the WWE, managed such wrestlers as Sid, Kamala, Giant Gonzalez, Bertha Faye, and a lot of others. He also worked for WWE behind the scenes for a lot of years.
Still do, actually.
Yeah. Oh, you still do? Okay. Well, we'll get into that. But here he is, downtown Bruno, also known as Dr. Harvey Wippleman.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Nice to be here, and nice to meet you, virtually at least.
Yeah, I was actually surprised when I was searching you up that The Rock bought you a car recently. Could you tell us about that to start
Yeah,
off?
it's actually my Christmas present for 2020. He surprised me with it. He's been so good to me. I bought him his first car back when he was 14 or maybe 15. And, I didn't think nothing of it. I was a big shot in the Memphis territory back then. And the little extra money didn't hurt me that I laid out. And little did I know that 40 years later, 35 years later, whatever it was, he was going to reciprocate with a brand new Ford F-150. And that was I'm still flabbergasted. It brought tears to my eyes. It really did.
That's when he was just starting out. Did you see the potential in him all the way back then? Obviously, he probably would never predict to be possibly the biggest movie star in the world right now, but that he would be a top wrestler.
I'll be completely honest with you, and I've told this to Dwayne, so I'm not, telling tales out of school, as the saying goes. I knew he could make it in the business. He was athletic. He was handsome. He was very intelligent. Still is, of course. But as far as was he going to rise to the level that he did rise, Dwayne and everybody else would know I was full of crap. I said, oh, yeah, the minute I seen him, I knew he'd be the WWE champion, and then he'd be, a huge movie. Like, no, I did not foresee that. I'm not going to say that I wouldn't. If I'm trying to use the right terminology. I'm not saying I didn't see the potential there at all, but obviously I've seen a lot of guys over the 43 years I've been in the business get started. I just never seen him like, bam, wow, that's magic. You know what I mean? I knew he had potential to be definitely a player in our business, but at that level, no, I wouldn't say that at the outset. Now, as he progressed, a few years down the pike, then absolutely. But at first, didn't see it to that level, no, to be completely truthful.
Would you say he's the most successful wrestler of all time as far as like success inside and outside of wrestling?
Inside and outside, yeah. That's true. Yeah, he's like the most successful to do both. Because I've always said, and also John Cena's up there too. He hasn't risen to the level of Dwayne as far as the movies, but he is in movies and different television things. So he's up there too. Hogan also, his movies weren't like Dwayne's, but still Hogan. But as far as the business itself is concerned, just put the movies aside, Hogan to me is Elvis Presley and the Beatles. Hogan's the most successful for the longest period of time, and it just period, as far as without the movies. But with everything, yeah, I would say Dwayne, undoubtedly. And I would say that if we weren't best of friends. I'm just being truthful. If I didn't even like him, I'd say it. But,
Have you seen anything of his daughter who recently made her debut in NXT? And what do you think of them not using the last name of either Maivia or Johnson and going with a different name for her?
Well, I really hadn't seen anything. I've been basically off the road for quite a while now. And I'm still very loyal and very close. I'm in with the WWE very strongly. But I'm a lifer, But I have not seen anything about her, so I don't want to comment either way on that. But as far as the name change or the not acknowledgement of the name, I'm sure there's a reason for it. Maybe they wanted to make it on her own for the people that maybe not know who her family is and who her dad is. And, you know, the people that make those decisions have a lot more money than I do. So I think they must know what they're doing. So I don't have any, comment, complaint or disagreement with that.
Are you looking forward to seeing the new regime? I guess Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan leading things with Triple H in charge of talent now with the recent changes. It looks like going in a bit of a different direction, perhaps, because they're going back to PG-14 or something as well.
Well, hey, to me, whatever they think is best for the company is what they're going to do. And one thing I've learned after 43 years in the business, there's only one constant in this profession, and that's change. And that's never going to change. So I'm always anxious to see what's next because, WWE is it. And that's it. It's everything, So whichever direction they go, I do nothing but support it. Always.
So you mentioned 43 years in the business. How did you get involved in this business to begin with?
It's funny. I started off, there was a guy named Dale Mann who used to run Mid-Continental Wrestling out of Jamestown, Kentucky. Well, he was having an event at a fair. It was either in Western Pennsylvania or Eastern West Virginia, the Panhandle or whatever. This is 1979. And I was living up in that area at the time. And a friend of mine had to go work at the fair. He had something to do with setting up the rides or doing something. And he wanted to know if I want to go with him. And I said, sure, why not? I got nothing else to do. And I went, and there was a tent set up in a part of the fairgrounds there. And there was wrestling in there. So I said, oh, man, I'm going to go look at that. I bet that's cool. Well, I went to go in, and the guy at the not door, but, the opening or wherever, the tent said, I'm sorry, but you can't come in without a ticket. This is extra from the fair. They just part of the fair admission. Oh, man, I didn't have no money. I was 14 years old. I forget what it was $5. It would be like $50 to me today or whatever, back then. And the guy that worked for Dale Mann said, hey, tell you what, we need some people to help us tear the ring down afterwards. If you'll stay and you promise you won't leave without helping us tear the ring down, I'll let you come on in. And I said, okay, sounds good to me. I'm not allergic to hard work. So I went in and helped take the ring down and everything. And, well, no, I got ahead of myself. The guy that I rode there with was done with whatever he had to do. He was setting up the rides or whatever, but then, they were going to be set up the next 3 days or however many days. Excuse me. He goes, well, I'm done. We got to go. We got to go. I said, I can't go. I promised these people this. Well, I'm sorry. You come now, you don't go. Well, I'm a man about word, so I didn't go with it. I wasn't going to let those guys down. Anyway, they had to put me on the road. They were going to all these different fairs. I ended up in North Dakota, of all places, with these guys, and putting up the ring and taking it down. That's how I got my start in the business. 1979.
And I guess you must have worked with Jerry Lawler a lot over the years in the Memphis area.
Oh, my God. Lawler is, I've said this up until recently, what Dwayne has done for me and different people. But of all people, Lawler gave me my life. Lawler gave me my life. I mean, he gave me my break as a manager. And, I mean, yes, me and Lawler are very close. We just talked not even 20 minutes ago. As a matter of fact, I was up in my room. Matter of fact, I'm going to put my phone on mute. I'm glad I thought about phones. There you go. Because I don't want to start beeping or going off while we're doing this. Yeah, Lawler and me are very, very close. He gave me a break. And back in the 80s, he actually, I had a problem back then. I had 2 DUI, which is driving under the influence, drinking and driving. I wasn't allowed to leave Shelby County. My home is in DeSoto County, which is Mississippi. Shelby County is Memphis. Lawler had a guest house in the back of his house. Let me live there. So I had a place to stay in Shelby County. And he's been very big part of my life for 40-something years. Me and him met in 83. So, okay, 39 years. Yeah. Very, very close.
Do you have any stories about him that people might not have heard that you could share with us?
Well, here's one. Me and Lawler talk about this. It's hysterical. We were in Ripley, Tennessee, having matches one night. There was a guy named Jeff Gaylord that was doing a gimmick at the time called the Texas Outlaw or Texas Assassin, something I forget. But he had the big old cowboy hat on and the mask on, a white mask, but had the Lone Ranger type mask over his eyes. And he was wearing the big long duster, kind of like Undertaker wears or wore or whatever, you know, from like Clint Eastwood, you know what I'm talking about, from the top of his neck all the way down to the floor. So I was the referee. So, you know, back then, you know, check the guys before the match, whatever. So I went over and checked Lawler and patted him down, raised your boot up, whatever. Went over to Gaylord, Texas Outlaw, patted him down, whatever. I said, okay, ring the bell. Gaylord took off his big old duster thing, had 2 bandoleros of bullets and 2 6-guns on his side. I'm laughing now. And Lawler looked at me and said, I guess finding a pair of brass knucks will be out of the question.
Didn't Jeff Gaylord end up being involved in some type of armed robbery too at one point?
Yes, I hope he didn't try to use those fake guns we had.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, you're very close, but not what an armed robbery. He didn't have no weapons. He went to a bank there in Colorado where he ended up living, and he put a pillow or a fake whatever, trying to make himself look big and fat, and a mask on, and he had wrote a note, you know, give me all your money and I won't hurt you or whatever, something to that effect at the bank. And then he left. Well, he didn't even change his, cover up his license plate or nothing. They got his license plate. So apparently the police went to his apartment or house wherever he was living and went in there, and you know, like he had a notebook, you know, notepad in his house. Well, they could see the indentation on the top sheet where he had wrote that same note, you know, with the imprint of the pen or pencil, whatever. And that was like they had him dead to rights. And they said, we know you did it. Why'd you do it? He goes, financial trouble. You know, so I mean, he wasn't harmed, but he was I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't well thought through. How about that?
How was the pay back then working the Memphis territory as a manager?
I always did well. I mean, I wasn't getting rich, but I had the advantage that I lived there. Like if a guy came in from, I don't know, lived in Utah or something, he had to still pay his bills at his home, plus pay for on the road or whatever. So it was easier for me because my home was there and still is. So it wasn't bad. Now, this is back 30, almost 40 years ago. I was averaging, $400 to $800 a week, which was good money back then. Too good when you're young and stupid and don't know how to, which I know better now, but back then, getting DUIs and stupid things like that, you know. But I mean, I did well, and I never got involved in drugs or anything like that ever. And I wouldn't drink and drive now if you gave me $1,000 to do it. Hell, the lawyer would cost more than that. But no, I was taken care of pretty well back then. And we had our good times and down times, like any other territory, like any other business. But I was always taken care of well, and I was very satisfied. That's where I got my bones. You know, I went to a lot of other territories too before I went to the Mecca, which is WWE at the time, but you know. But Memphis was always home, and I was always glad when it was time to go back home.
I'm sure you crossed paths with Jerry Jarrett a lot over the years, and you probably worked for him. What are your thoughts on him?
He's like a father to me. I send him a Father's Day card every year, and he sends me a happy birthday son card every year. We're honestly, he's like a father to me. Very close. His mother, Christine Jarrett, was a surrogate mother to me because I was on my own since I was 14. And me and my daddy, God bless him, but we were never close. So Jerry was like a surrogate daddy to me. And since I was on my own for all them years, Christine was like a surrogate mother to me. So Jerry and his mother, Christine, were family to me and still are. Well, Christine, God bless her, she's with the Lord now. But yeah, Jerry and I are very close to this day.
At what point did you first meet Sid? Because I understand you met him before you guys were put together in WWE.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you what happened there. I was working in Kansas City in '86 for the NWA, Bob Geigel. And I loved Bob Geigel. I loved all the guys I worked with in Kansas City. It was a good place to learn. It was a good place to work, but there wasn't a lot of money there. And I wasn't just making a whole lot. I mean, I didn't have a lot of expenses back then either. I was just in my 20s. But I wasn't making a lot of money. Well, Robert Fuller was the booker and co-owner of the Alabama territory, Continental. And he called me up and asked me if I knew a guy that would fit the bill, the gimmick for Lord Humongous, if you remember, the big guy with the hockey mask and the leather straps, just like from that Mad Max movie, Thunderdome or whatever it was called. And I said, yeah, I met a guy, when he was just starting out in Memphis, Sid. I said, I met a guy in Memphis. I don't know him well, but I really believe this guy would fit the bill. And Robert goes, well, if you say so, I'll accept, on my word. Because back then there was no pick up the phone and send a picture or email, whatever. It wasn't like that back in almost 40 years ago. So I didn't know how to reach Sid. Because back then, again, there was no cell phones or nothing. But I knew he was working construction for a guy named Bobby Jones, who I knew in Memphis. So I tracked down Bobby Jones's phone number and got Sid's number, called Sid and told him, the situation. He was, oh, man, yeah, I'd love to. I said, all right, I'll give my notice to Bob Geigel. I'll meet you in West Memphis where Sid lived on such and such date. And we have a starting date. We start in Gadsden, Alabama. I think it was Gadsden. It might have been Montgomery, one or the other. We start such and such date. So we met in West Memphis. We brought both of our cars to Birmingham, which is the center of that territory at the time. And we got a hotel room there, whatever. And we'd take turns driving our cars to various towns. And that's how we got started. Robert hired him right there first day and had a good crew. Dutch Mantel, Bob Armstrong, Scott and Steve Armstrong, Tracy Smothers, Nightmare Danny Davis, a bunch of guys, and great territory. And that's how me and Sid got together the first time. I got him his first full-time job in the business, and he reciprocated because he's the one that got me my tryout with WWE and gave me my life. So Lawler and Sid, and there's another guy too that we can get into after a while, or whenever you get ready, is they helped me tremendously with Rocky Johnson. So those three people were instrumental in my life.
Well, we may as well get into that now because a lot of the fans have questions for you about the other stuff after. But how did that come about where you got the tryout with WWE? Because even back then, they were starting to phase out managers, it seems.
Well, truthfully, well, not quite then. Because when I was managing WWE, there was a ton of us. Me, Elizabeth, Sherry Martel, Lou Albano, Slick, Bobby Heenan, Frenchie Martin. I'm sure there was some more, and I'm not insulting nobody by not remembering. But when I first went in, there was a ton of managers, a lot of them. John Tolos. Sid, talked to them about me, and a lot of people knew me from all the years. I'd been in the business 10 years at the time already. So they gave me an opportunity, and I went up there. And they gave me a dark interview with Mean Gene Okerlund in Worcester, Massachusetts. And I did the interview, and apparently the company liked it because they had me do it again in a different way the next night in Portland, Maine. And the time I got back to Memphis, they had sent me a contract. So that's how it worked out. But I appreciate Sid opened the door for me. And I said, Lawler gave me my break in the business and said, helped me get into the place I always wanted to be. So I'm grateful to both of those guys.
And the first guy you managed there that I recall was Big Bully Busick, who seemed to have like a big build-up, but he didn't last very long and he kind of just disappeared. The only real match I remember of him, which I was there for, was Sid against him actually on Superstars taping here in Canada.
Yeah, nice guy. Don't get me wrong. Very nice guy. Just didn't and God bless him because he's no longer with us either, so God bless him. But just talking business, talking honestly, he just didn't have the type of work I think that's required to be in the major leagues, basically. Nice guy, and I'm certainly, again, not disparaging him in any way, but the truth is the truth. His work and his mindset for the business wasn't exactly what it needed to be, I would have to say.
Were you concerned at all when they let him go that you were also going to be released, or did they already talk to you about your next protege?
Yeah, they'd already talked to me, and also they explained to me from the get-go that we weren't a package deal. Same thing if they didn't like me or they didn't like my work or whatever, they wouldn't have, if they loved his, he would have stayed, So no, I wasn't concerned about that because unless it's a package deal, you know what I mean? Like if I was coming in with somebody that, was Bruno and Hannibal, that's the team, and we both had shirts and say, whatever. That might be a little bit different, but something like that, I was going to stand or fall on my own merits, basically. And it's fun, obviously, I guess now, right?
And then you went on to manage Sid. Sid was really over as a babyface. Fans don't really recall it, but do you think if they had kept pushing Sid as a babyface, and I don't think he wanted to be one,
right?
Do you think he could have reached like a Hulk Hogan-ish level if they had kept pushing him at that time?
It's quite possible, Hannibal. I mean, who knows for sure, but yeah, it's quite possible. But now don't forget, before Sid, after Bully Busick, I managed Warlord, which is a great guy. To see him, well, our friend Nick, who introduced you and me, he had me and Warlord together last December, I think it was, and we did a virtual thing together. That's when COVID was at its height, so we didn't have people or whatever. But yeah, me and Warlord were together. He was just a great. I'm just crazy about him. And I don't do a whole lot of these conventions or whatever, but for some reason this month I've been getting a call every week. So every week this month I've been doing these conventions. I've been seeing a lot of guys I hadn't seen in years. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of reminiscing.
So as far as the Warlord, I guess he was just at the end of his run at that point, and they were just throwing you with him just to give you something to do.
Basically, yeah, that's a pretty good assumption, and I would have to agree with it.
Yeah, he is a great guy. I've done 2 interviews with him, and he's a really nice guy. And of course, then you did manage Sid. How was that whole experience? And I know Sid had some behind-the-scenes issues at the time with.
That was the problem. Let me tell you, I love Sid like a brother. Always have, always will. But at that time, he was on this high level up there on the top echelon. It was like Hogan, Warrior, Sid, Randy Savage. And there I was, just happy to be there. Still am. So I don't make that kind of money. Never have. I'm not saying I should. I'm not a guy of that level. So when Sid's like upset and wants to leave, well, I don't know what his finances are. It's none of my business. But I'm saying he's probably a millionaire. And I can't afford just to walk out and leave. What am I going to do? Cut grass? Got to do that on the side anyway. I can't make a living at it. So it was a little nerve-wracking being in that position. I'd rather be the guy that's steady. I don't want to be on top. So when you, like the old song says, when you're on the top, there's no place you can really go but down. down, down. I'd rather just make a steady living, which I have for 43 years. And that's all I want to do. Take what I'm given, do what I'm told. Just don't disrespect me. Don't talk to me like I'm a piece of crap. And which nobody has, you know. I'm just saying in general. Other than that, I'm happy being Bruno.
And as far as Sid, he told the story that the breaking point for him was with the Ultimate Warrior. He had a series of matches with him, I guess, and he didn't like that the Warrior really didn't care what Sid wanted to do in the matches. And he said that had to do with him walking out. Do you recall any of that?
Well, and I'm being honest with you, I'm not giving you a cop-out. I do, but I don't. I'll tell you why. One thing about me, and anybody that knows me will tell you, I'm big on staying out of things. This way I don't, well, Bruno said this. Well, Bruno said, tell me, I'd rather stay out of everything. Let those guys hash it out. If it doesn't involve me directly, then, so I do remember him being upset. I do remember him leaving that night after the Boston Garden. Was it 91, maybe 92? I can't remember. But as far as the exact situation, I'd be lying to you if I said I do remember totally. I honestly don't. I remember the situation, but not the intricacies. I guess the word I'm looking for.
How was your relationship with the Ultimate Warrior? Because I guess you probably interacted with him backstage, but you worked in matches with him as well.
Yeah, I mean, I never had a problem with him. He was always nice to me. He wasn't my close friend or nothing. We didn't hang out, but he was always nice. You know, I never had one cross-word from him to me, or you know, I never had a cross feeling about him. So, God bless him too. You know, I always say that about somebody that leaves us. Even the people I didn't like, if they die, I don't say, "Oh, good, he's dead, he's no good." I'm not that guy, you know. And again, Warrior wasn't somebody I didn't like, but we weren't close friends or nothing. But yeah, we were okay. We were always okay.
And another guy that passed away, sadly, who I wrestled myself, and I knew him from interviewing him, was Kamala, who you also managed during his feud with The Undertaker in WWE. Any memories of him and thoughts on his passing?
Yeah, I hated that. It was sad that he lost his legs and was severely diabetic. And, you know, he's from Tate County, Mississippi, which is two counties, actually one county, depending on where you come from, south of me. I'm in DeSoto County, Mississippi. So we're you know, neighbors, but per se. Yeah, I hated that. You know, he got really bitter towards the end of his life and said some things that I regretfully that he probably shouldn't have said, but he's paid his dues in full now. So, you know, I have nothing but praise for his work. And me and him and Brooklyn Brawler traveled together for the whole run, his last run. And, you know, Brooklyn Brawler is one of my close friends too. So he was the kimchi, you know, with the hat. So we all, you know, got along good. And I just hate some of the things that James Kamala said towards the end of his career, but that's water underneath the bridge now. So I heard he apologized for it. And I wouldn't even, you know, want to even entertain the things he said because it's over with now, you know, but I hate that he died.
And one of the things that he talked about, and we won't get into the things that he said about Lombardi, but he was upset about his payoff for SummerSlam 92. I guess it was $10,000, and he felt it should have been more. How did you feel about your payoff for that? Were managers bonus like wrestlers at that time?
Yeah, I was very happy with this is honest to God truth. The worst WWE ever gave me was the best I ever had. I was always taken care of. You know, I didn't get rich. I never got no six-figure or whatever, nothing like that. I shouldn't. I was an added attraction. I wasn't the attraction. So I have absolutely no complaint about anything I received. As far as what Kamala got, let me tell you, I will say this without getting into figures, but I used to cash his checks for him every week out of my bank account. every week he'd come up, he'd sign it over to me, and I would give him the money. Whatever, and I won't, throw dirt on him. He's already, gone. For whatever reason, put it like that, he didn't have a bank account and didn't keep a bank account for whatever personal reason he had. So every week he would bring me his check, whether it was a big SummerSlam type week or just a regular week. He would sign it to me, and I would cash it, give him the money. And trust me when I tell you, he was very well taken care of. And I'm not saying he should have not made more than me. Of course, he was the one in the ring with Hogan or the Warrior or whoever, Savage. But I was just had an attraction. But he made very good money. That's the truth.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he wasn't poor towards the time of his death, but I was actually at his trailer, and his trailer was actually very nice, and it was on a large property. So it's not like it was in a trailer park.
Right. Nice property down there. I didn't know you ever came down to Tate County.
Yeah, it was about 5 years ago or so.
Okay.
I'm glad I made it before he passed away because he was a really nice guy.
Yeah, I hate that I didn't know you then. You could have, on your way back out, you could have came by my house. I live in DeSoto County.
I think at that time, because I was trying to get all the Memphis area guys at that time, but I couldn't find anyone that had your contact information at that time.
Oh, that's too bad. I would have been glad to do it.
And of course, after that, a lot of fans on here ask about Giant Gonzalez, who feuded with The Undertaker, and fans really remember him.
Oh,
How
sure.
was that run?
Let me tell you, that guy was a prince of a guy, a wonderful guy. He's another one. Oh my God! Thank God Warlord's still with us. Because like everybody I managed, except for Warlord and Sid, is like dead. God, but yeah, I love Gonzalez. We got along tremendously. I mean, just a super guy, and he was blessed to be a Giant, but also, and he would tell you if he was still here, cursed to be a Giant because he knew he was going to have a short life. He was severely diabetic. He had heart issues, and poor guy. I mean, knees were shot. Just nicest guy in the world. I mean, nicest was. Well, I can't say enough good about it. I miss him. Towards the end of his life, he was in Argentina, back where he's from. As you may or may not know, at that point, I don't know what it is now, but at that point, that whole country went like bankrupt. Anything you had in the bank went away. I mean, they were just like in poverty. If you didn't have American U.S. cash in your hand, you had nothing. So I would send him magazines in the mail, just whatever, with like $100 bills and $50 bills, like in the pages, so nobody would find them and things like that. And he couldn't even afford. He had bad stomach issues too. I would send him boxes, whatever you call the container, Rolaids and whatnot, just to help him. I looked after him up until he died. I really did.
Yeah, I remember seeing a video that he put out before he died. I don't know if it was for GoFundMe or what, but he was living in like a one-room building or one-room apartment, and he looked terrible. So it looked like he had a terrible end. But Bill Alfonso actually said he didn't believe that you sent him money. So for the record, you did send him money, because I guess Bill Alfonso was his handler or something outside the ring.
When he first came in, yeah. I guess when he was in WCW, Bill was, yeah.
Okay. So in WWE, it was you.
Yeah, but I hate that Bill said that because I have no problems with Bill. I always liked Bill. And I don't know why he would say something like that, but I still no heat. I'm no heat Bruno. I don't care. Bill, if you listen to this, I did send him money on a regular basis. So I'm sorry that you would feel that, Bill, because I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't say I did if I didn't.
Do you have any stories about him, like walking around in public with you and people reacting weird or anything like that?
Yeah, it's funny. He yeah. I mean, nothing outrageous, but just like, yeah, everybody, naturally, when you walk into a Denny's or a Shoney's or whatever with a guy that's 8 foot tall, everybody just stops and looks or whatever. And he accepted that. He knew that. He knew that. Nothing, really stands out as far as that. What does stand out to me, years ago when I was managing him, he came and did a couple shots. I mean, we were already in WWE, obviously, but we were, WWE and Memphis had a working relationship. So they brought him down to Memphis for like a week or 2 weeks or whatever to work like a series of matches with Lawler. So, naturally, all my friends and family there in Walls, Mississippi, where I live just south of Memphis. Oh, we want to meet John Gonzalez. We want to meet John Gonzalez. Well, I mentioned it to him. He goes, okay, let me come down. So there was a beer joint. It's not there no more. It burnt down years ago. But at that time, there was a beer joint in Walls. It was also a restaurant and beer joint. You shot pool there, whatever. So one night we were in Memphis. Me and George just walked into the beer joint. There's an 8-foot tall guy. Everybody just stopped what they were doing and just gathered around him. And back then there was no cell phones. Everybody, like a guy went home, got his Polaroid camera. They were taking pictures. And he was so gracious and so friendly to my Uncle Larry, to different people that, from town. And that meant a lot to me that he, took the time when I'm sure he wanted to go to bed or just go back to his hotel to come down just to meet a bunch of my local friends. That meant a lot to me.
What caused the end of his run in WWE? Because it was kind of anticlimactic. He turned babyface, but I don't even really recall if he had any babyface matches.
No, never. It was a one night or maybe a 2-night thing. I think he had to have some other surgeries. Now, this I couldn't testify in a court of law. Roughly, I think he had to have some type of surgery again or something, or some health issue, and it didn't just pan out properly, and he just wasn't clear to get back in the ring. Long story short, he just never came back, and that's sad. But we stayed in touch up until he died.
And of course, around that time too, you had Mr. Hughes.
I didn't know him today.
Pardon me?
I just saw Curtis Hughes today.
Oh, he's there?
20-something years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, our friend Nikki brought me up here. For those of y'all that don't know, I'm in Newark, New Jersey right now. There was a fan fest type thing in Hamburg, Pennsylvania, which is a little over an hour from here. And Curtis Hughes was there. And it's the first time we've seen each other in many years. And it was good to see him. And he had his demons, but I'm not going to throw that out there because I don't want to hurt anybody. He's good now. He looks great attitude, and I was really happy to see it.
Was it the attitude issues that caused the run to be short with him?
Now, I think it was without really, and I'm sure you'll respect me for this, without getting into his personal problems. It was some personal, wasn't so much attitude, but there was some personal issues that he had to get corrected and move forward from. If you can read between the lines,
Someone wants to know your favorite wing sauce because a lot of people are commenting your wings look good.
Oh, Lord. It's funny. I usually eat them dry and plain, but here at this hotel, they didn't have them dry and plain, so this is teriyaki, which is good. I just don't like to get my fingers all nappy. That's why I've got this towel on my. You keep me seeing me reach down. That's what I'm doing.
Okay, that explains it. And you had another manager or another client, Adam Baum, who's another really nice guy in my experience. How was your experience?
Great guy. I have nothing bad to say about him. That's just a super guy. I
guess you replaced Johnny Polo there?
Yeah, Adam or Emmett, his real name, but we'll call him Adam because Adam Baum is gimmick. He didn't like the fact that Raven, who was at the time Johnny Polo, was like more comedy. Not that I'm Mr. Serious, but he would come to the ring with like slippers on it, shaped like ducks or rabbits or whatever. The big funny hat, and he'd have the inner tube around his waist, the goofy stuff. And Adam Baum wanted to be a little bit more of a serious competitor, let's say. So he petitioned for me to be his manager, which was fine. And I'm not disparaging Johnny Polo by any means. I consider Scotty a good guy and a friend. Um, but at the time, I think that's what Adam Bomb wanted, was a little bit more of a heat guy than a comedy guy.
And after that ended, he feuded with Quang, aka Savio Vega, who you also managed. Another good guy.
Another good guy.
Yeah, that was only a brief time, I guess, though, right?
Yeah, it wasn't long, but it was. We traveled together during that time, and actually, Juan Savio, Quang, whatever you want to call him, when he came to Memphis, he actually stayed at my house because, you know, if I really like somebody, they're welcome in my home. If I'm just a business associate, then hey, good to see you. I'll see you at the next event. But no, I let Quang stay at my house, you know, when he was in town. Good guy. I really like him. And if you ever talk to him, please tell him I said hello.
And then, of course, Well Done was another team from the Memphis area. Did you have anything to do with bringing them in, or they were just given to you to manage?
Actually, no, to be honest with you, not to bring them in. But when they got there, when the company found out that I knew them from Memphis, because they were baby faces in Memphis. But when the company found out I knew them, we got along good, they went on and put us together. And wow, Hannibal, I didn't think about it. Those two guys are both gone too. Oh my God.
Yeah, they passed away young.
Yeah.
Guys. I don't remember what from, but probably heart issues if it was young. That seems to be a common one for wrestlers.
Yeah. I mean, I never spent time with either one of them outside business, but I don't know if they had any type of abuse issues or whatever. I don't know. But I do know that I was got along with both of them in a great way, a good relationship. And oh my God, it's like 80% of the people I managed in WWE died. I mean, I bet if they put me back there managing now, everybody would run the other way.
And of course, you had that legendary feud with Howard Finkel. Could you share some memories of that?
Yeah, my God, I loved Howard. It was funny, great guy. Obviously, he didn't know how to perform in the ring, so nobody expected him to be, you know, Shawn Michaels out there. But, and of course, me, I know my limitations. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you I'm this great worker because I'm not, but I know what I can do. But so you got a guy like me that's very limited, and a guy like Howard who just didn't have any ring training or whatever. It was not easy. The matches weren't easy. I can put it like that. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. People still talk to me about it to this day, like at these conventions. So, but he never hurt me, and I never hurt him. At least I don't think I ever did. If I did, I'm sorry. But I enjoyed our little interactions every time. Howard was great. My deal as Harvey was always mess with the announcers. I messed with Howard. I messed with Mike McGirt, great girl. You know, just what I did. I enjoyed it. So, yeah, God bless Howard. Once again, another one. As you can tell, I'm very religious.
Yeah. Was Mel Phillips gone by that time, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I had met Mel, but I didn't know him well. And I never had no dealings with him. I went, hey, how you doing, man? So whatever he did or didn't do or whatever, honestly, even if I didn't care, I couldn't say. I don't know. I don't know. But I will say this. He was always nothing but nice to me. The little interactions I had with him, he was always friendly, you know.
Mr. Coliseum wants to know, were you the cameraman with the fireball at King of the Ring 93 with Hogan?
Yes.
What's the story behind that?
It was just a reason to, I guess, a reason to have Hogan, you know, get beat and not put the heat on anybody else but the Yokozuna crew, which I wasn't part of. They knew I would handle it properly. So I think that's all it was. Nobody ever explained to me why, but I would have to assume that's why it was.
The angle I remember you best from as a character was the Bertha Faye angle. Another one this past, sadly. Even with Howard Finkel, he's gone too. Like, everyone's gone. It's not even funny. We can only laugh about it because of how sad it is. But memories of Bertha Faye and that whole angle where you were in love with her. You sang her theme music.
Right. But I'm going to tell you something, brother. And again, like I told you earlier, I don't speak ill of the dead. And I certainly don't wish anybody dead. But I'd have to be a hypocrite and a liar if I didn't say that me and her never got along. We weren't friends. We couldn't stand each other. But we worked together. Now, obviously, when she passed away through that very sad circumstance, which I can't even imagine what was going on in her life to make her take her own life. And I mean, really, even though we weren't friends and didn't get along, that still bothered me. And it does to this day. But yeah, we were not friends. We were strictly business, and we didn't get along at all. But again, and I hope anybody that's watching this and observing this understands. This is not in any way means form or fashion of me condoning that she's gone, because I'm not. And God bless her, and I hope she's in a better place. And I hope God had mercy on her soul, because obviously she was going through something that obviously any of us can't even fathom.
Yeah, it's always sad when someone takes their own life. And then you went on to become a referee. Could you give us your thoughts on that whole thing?
Yeah, it didn't. The referee gig in WWE didn't last that long. See, I was so used to the Memphis style of refereeing, which was like ad lib, and jump around and sometimes have fun. WWE refereeing is very strict and to the book and to the point, which I just, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And I'd already been refereeing on and off for 20 years by the time I got to refereeing in WWE. So I just didn't fit the mold as far as what, the great referees of WWE, Mike Chioda, Joey Morella, Earl Hebner, those guys. I just wasn't in there. I'm not going to say I wasn't good enough. I wasn't the right fit. So my refereeing career there was short-lived, and deservedly so. It wasn't my forte.
And they used you on TV to introduce DX as like a rib on Rick Rude.
Right.
To be Handsome Harvey.
Right.
Was there a lot of heat backstage? What was the backstage reaction when Rick Rude jumped ship and appeared on Nitro the same night of a taped Raw from Cornwall, Ontario?
Right. Well, you know what? I don't know per se what about the heat, because I wasn't in those meetings with the main guys. But I do remember Cornette was doing commentary that night, and he knew it had happened. It's hysterical because they were doing the voiceover of the pre-taped Raw. I remember Cornette said, "Boy, that guy gets around." Because these were both shows within 10 minutes or whatever of each, each other.
And he's another one that's passed, and there's a lot of controversy on the way he may have passed. But the sad thing is he's gone. Did you have much interaction with him?
Yeah, I like Rude. I mean, I managed him a couple times in Memphis. I wasn't his main manager. He had a girl manager named Angel when he was in Memphis. But there was a couple times, for whatever reason, maybe she wasn't there or whatever. I can't remember what it was, but I managed him a couple times in Memphis for the Memphis organization. And we always got along. And even after the thing where I made fun of him or whatever, he told, he ran into Lombardi, I think it was, in the airport somewhere, and said, "Yeah, tell Bruno I'm going to kick his ass." And he was just joking. He goes, "Hell, he did it better than I did," or something. He didn't care.
At what point did they start giving you more behind the scenes duties? Because it seems like after the referee thing, you kind of transitioned into working behind the scenes for the WWE.
Yeah, it was pretty much right after the referee thing. There was a lot of different things to do behind the scenes. And I was a good fit. I had been in the business 20 years at the time or whatever. And we need this, so I'll do it. We need that, I'll do it. Before you know it, instead of who can we get to do it, it was like, let's get Bruno to do it. So, it developed. And the company's been very, very good to me. Gave me my life. They've been loyal to me. And reciprocate. So I just really appreciate everything they've given me. Give me my life.
What were some of the things you would do? I guess you would return rental cars, I heard, and get
Yeah,
people food.
yeah, stuff like that. Nothing outrageous. Well, I'll say there's nothing outrageous, but I was the one that would, I'm just making this up, just for example. We were in Phoenix, Arizona in the middle of summer, and they needed a snowsuit because they were going to have a wrestler to be the snowman or something. I'd be the one that would find it. You know what I mean? I was good at pulling rabbits out of hats. And I don't want to jinx myself, but I've always been good like that. I'm pretty good out there knowing how to grease palms. And you can't have that one, sir. That's the display model. Before you know it, I'm walking out with the whole mannequin. You know, I've always been good like that.
Yeah, because I guess WWE gives you a budget, and if they need something,
Right.
you can do that. So that must be pretty fun. How long were you with the company? I guess you said you're still under some type of contract.
Yeah, 33 years.
Wow.
And my goal is up till retirement, which I'll be 57. So, Jesus, I got a few more years I need to go. And whatever they need, I'm there for them, whatever they need. In the meantime, I just live a, comfortable lifestyle. Nothing outrageous. And I push a lawnmower, ride a tractor, and just take care of my house, Just, I'm blessed with my life. This business gave me everything in my life. The business. God bless the business.
Who would you report to behind the scenes when you were doing that job in WWE? I guess similar to what Steve Lombardi did, but he also did promos and stuff.
Yeah, he did the promos and stuff. That was different. Me, I didn't report to anybody per se. It was just I would get my budget at the beginning of the day, and whatever amount of money I had. Then at the end of the day, I would just come back. It was just the production office, and I'd say, okay, you gave me, just making this for example, you gave me $2,000. Well, here's all my receipts. I spent $900, so here's $1,100 back. Count it up. Just things like that. I didn't go to any particular executive or anybody like that. It was just a, business type situation, And I explained what everything was for. Why did you buy this? Well, because they needed a, stuffed elephant for this segment. Whatever. Just I explained every nickel that was spent and gave them back the change. Or if I spent more than they gave me, I put it on my credit card or whatever, and they would reimburse me. So it was, one of those deals.
Robert would like to know if you had a favorite superstar to work with over the years.
As far as in WWE or just all my years
Anywhere. Yeah. Any company.
I had the most fun. Now, I don't know if I know you're from Canada, right, Hannibal?
Yes.
Yes. I don't know if you are familiar with the history of the Memphis territory, the Kansas City territory, but the most fun single guy I ever managed that wrestled was a guy named Phil Hickerson in Memphis. We traveled together forever. He was like never a nationwide. That's me and Hickerson back in probably 83, maybe.
Wow. How old are you there?
About 17. He was my favorite guy. He was a legend in Memphis. He wasn't well known anywhere else. Legend in Memphis. We had a great time. He was a good teacher to me, a good mentor to me. And the other, when I was in Kansas City, I was with the Batten twins. And I loved those guys. One of them passed away. God bless him. Brad passed away. But those are my favorite guys. Nothing against anyone else. But those guys just were guys that I really clicked with. So that was my favorite tag team and my favorite individual talent.
Did you ever witness any behind-the-scenes fights in your career?
Let me try to think. I didn't see the Shawn Michaels Brett one. I was there when it happened or wherever, and I didn't see it. I was in the Hartford Civic Center. Somebody told me about it. I'm trying to think. Well, I don't know if you would call it a fight. We were just talking about Phil Hickerson, the guy I showed you the picture of. How about this? There was a wrestler named Chuck Casey. He was a underneath mid-card guy that would get on TV and get knocked off, get beat. So on TV one Saturday morning, Hickerson, who was the Southern heavyweight champion at the time in Memphis, jobbed him out, beat him, put him down, whatever. So that Monday night, me and Hickerson got to the Mid-South Coliseum. There was a bunch of girls hanging around, they always did, behind the arena, waiting for the wrestlers to come to get autographs or pictures or whatever they wanted. And me and Hickerson pulled up, and these girls said, "Oh, yeah, we're friends with Chuck Casey. You beat him up Saturday morning. You beat him Saturday morning." Hickerson goes, "That's right, that's right." Well, he told us he had to let you beat him because you're an old man, and he could have beat you easy, but you're the champion, so he had to let you beat him. Oh, my God. Hickerson was red in the face. Steam was coming out of his ears. We got into the Coliseum that night. Told Joe, said, "Hickerson, Chuck Casey here. Chuck Casey here. He walking down the hallway right now." Hickerson said, "Bruno, go get him and bring him into the dressing room." Tojo dressed in like a little small dressing room. And me and him used to dress together instead of with all the guys. We just always did for whatever reason. We weren't avoiding nobody. That was just the way we did at the Coliseum. So I brought Chuck Casey into that room. Oh, my God. Hickerson punched him in the face with a chain wrapped around his fist about 3 or 4 times. Put his head in the toilet. Started flushing the toilet. Tojo was hitting him with a kendo stick. Finally, the guy jumped up and ran away. I witnessed it. It ain't something nobody told me. I don't know if you'd call that a fight or an attack, but he taught him respect for the business right then and there.
Yeah, you wouldn't hear about things like that happening these days.
No, it's funny. You wouldn't. Now look at me. I ain't no big tough guy or nothing, but there's a thing you can look it up on YouTube. It says, and you can look it up. It says, "When Downtown Bruno Attacks." In Memphis years ago, this guy named Larry Burton came in. He somehow got involved in the company in management or whatever, and all of a sudden there's no more Lance Russell and Dave Brown because he had these 2 announcers that would work for free as long as they got to be at the house shows. And this one referee would work for free as long as he could be at the house shows and whatever. So Larry Burton says to me, "We're not going to pay you on Saturday mornings no more because Bill Rush says he'll referee for free as long as he's on the house shows." And I said, "Well, I do this for a living. I ain't going to do it for free. He works at the auto parts store." I said, "What if I went over to the auto parts store and said, I'll sell auto parts for free? I don't care." And then Larry Burton says, "Well, he's better than you anyway." So I punched him in the face as hard as I could. And then he grabbed me around the throat. I grabbed him around the throat. And Jerry Lawler and Mike Samples pulled us apart. They were laughing at the whole time because that's not like me. That's not in my character. So Larry Burton screamed and yelled, "You're fired, you're fired, you're fired." So they were dragging me out. And the announcer, Tony Freeman, that took over Dave Brown's job, he said he'd do it for free. He's out there announcing. I said, "Well," and Lawler's one of my best friends. I said, "Well," since I'm fired, can I run out there and beat the crap out of him on live TV? And Lawler goes, "I dare you." I said, "Hold my glasses." I ran out on that live Channel 5 Memphis TV, and I beat the crap out of Tony Freeman right on TV live. And you can look it up, "When Downtown Bruno Attacks." You've been around this long enough. You know what's real and what's portrayed. You can tell it's real. And I beat that son of a gun like he stole something.
I am going to look that up after this. Dennis wants to know if you have any thoughts on Ric Flair, who's about to have another retirement match.
What can I say? If that's what Rick wants to do, I like Rick. Me and Rick have always been friendly, never had a problem. If he feels that's right for him, then I say, please do it, because you got to do your own thing. If you try to please everybody else, you end up doing everybody else's thing but your own. So I say, hey, if that's what Rick feels like he needs to do for his career and his part, maybe something to fulfill something inside of him, I just hope and pray that he doesn't get injured or hurt or anything happen to him. And I say, hey, good for him, really. All sincerity.
Funny question here. Who would win in a shoot fight between Andre the Giant and Giant Gonzalez, in your opinion?
Huh. Andre the Giant. Gonzalez can barely walk. I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. I think Andre the Giant, without a doubt.
Mike would like to know if you have any stories about Matt Bourne, who played the original Doink the Clown.
No, I knew Matt for umpteen years, but we never hung out. We weren't like good friends or nothing. I mean, I had no problems with him. Don't let anybody misread that. But I never was around him outside of the dressing rooms or whatever. So no, I really don't, unfortunately.
Roger would like to know if there's a current wrestler on the WWE roster you would like to manage.
No, I don't want to manage nobody no more. Those days are over. A lot of great talent there. Great talent. But no, I couldn't even answer that question because no, my managing days are so over, it's ridiculous.
Ivan wants to know if there's any reason why you never came to Puerto Rico to manage.
Well, I didn't speak the language. A manager's main thing is to, run his mouth. I mean, I understand a lot of those people speak English, but that wouldn't have been my best interest, and I understand that. They never even approached me to come there, but I can see why. So that's the reason.
There's been a bunch of fans that have wanted to know if you think you'll be put in the WWE Hall of Fame one day. Obviously, we've gone through all the guys you've managed, a lot of Hall of Famers, and I think Sid should be in the Hall of Fame too. Hopefully, one of these days they'll put him in.
I think so. And do I think I will be? That's up to them. I would consider it a tremendous honor. I would consider that the victory lap in my career. But my main thing is just to make a living in this business, which is the only way I've ever made my living in my life, my entire life. But would I love to be in the WWE Hall of Fame? Absolutely. Would I consider it an honor more than anybody could ever even know? Right now, the biggest honor, besides making a living for this many years in the business in general and WWE in particular, is the fact that I've got the respect of my peers and my superiors. And secondary to that, but still meant a lot when they put me in the Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame. So that's where I started and where I got my break. That was a huge deal to me. It was roughly a year ago today. So, yeah, the only one left is the WWE Hall of Fame. So, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you have any advice on being a heel for any heels out there that might be watching?
Yeah, if you're going to be a heel, be a heel. Don't be a heel trying to get the people to like you. Don't wink at the people, metaphorically. Just be a heel. I'm not saying do like we did back in the 80s and, yell at crippled people and, call people's children retarded or, things like that. Don't do the cheap heat that we used to do. And I'm not even in favor of that. But, just be a heel. If you end up turning babyface eventually, either the office does or the people do, that's fine. But don't try to do it yourself. Don't be the cool heel. That was cool for Rock to do. But, to whoever's listening, you're not Rock. I'm not Rock. You know what I'm saying? So,
And you're not Rock, Hannibal, okay? You see me? You're not the Rock either. Taking more of Bruno's time, taking more of the captain time. You're lucky that you've had the time that you have had already. Anything to say?
Yeah, you gave us 3 extra minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You're usually right on the money.
You know what? And it's the last time it'll happen. Good night, Hannibal.
What?